Is the name Martha Place one that you're familiar with? I remember watching a documentary on her a few years ago, but I have found that, at least in my experience, she's not a name that comes up often. And back when I did the research for episode 3, the one that was about women who kill, her name never even came up. Well, we're going to talk about old Martha today on this week's Midweek Mini.
Proudly presents Midweek Mini, and here's your host, Andrea Lee.
So Martha Garretson was born on September 18th, 1849 in Reddington Township, New Jersey. In 1893, Martha married a widower by the name of William Place. Now, William had a daughter named Ida from a previous marriage, and he married Martha to help take care of Ida. Now, before Martha became his wife, she was employed as William's housekeeper, and they became engaged to be married within a year of meeting. However, there were issues from the very beginning. Martha claimed that William's family didn't like her, and they refused to have anything to do with her. Now, William also refused to let Martha's son from a previous marriage live with them. Now, I couldn't find a reason for why he wouldn't let her son live with them, but just being a mom, that would have been my cue to leave, because I would have just been like, look, my kids are a part of me. We're a package deal. But anyway, other than that, Martha also claimed that Ida was a big issue. She said that Ida was sly, she was antagonistic, and she was disrespectful. Martha just couldn't do anything to make Ida happy at all. And the biggest problem with that was that no matter how Ida treated Martha, William thought the sun rose and set on Ida. But these are just Martha's opinions and what she said was going on. But it is known that Ida was 17, and she was still grieving the death of her mother, and maybe that's why she wasn't the easiest stepchild to live with. And it's also known that Martha had a volatile temper, and it was often her way or the highway. Her brother blamed her temper on an accident she had when she was younger. He said that she'd suffered a head injury when she was in her 20s, and from that, she had the worst temper he had ever seen. Yeah, her brother admitted that Martha had a really bad temper. Now, after leaving her role as a housekeeper to become the lady of the house, the Places employed a housekeeper named Hilda, and she was the first to notice that something wasn't quite right in that house. One day she noticed the odor of carbolic acid lingering in the house, and Ida was nowhere in sight. William was gone to work, and he wouldn't return until 5:30 that afternoon. He worked in Manhattan, so it took a little while to get back and forth. The odor was soon strong enough to make Hilda's eyes start to water, but she questioned Martha about it. And Martha at first was like riding her to work faster, but like I said, she questioned Martha about that odor, and Martha denied smelling it at first, but then she said it smelled more like a gas leak to her. But what Hilda didn't know was that around 8:30 that morning, Martha had carried out a previous threat to kill Ida. Well, maybe Martha thought Hilda was onto her, so she told her she was being dismissed as their housekeeper and that the family was moving to Brooklyn. She even gave Hilda a month's salary since it was such a short notice, and she promised a bonus to Hilda if she could have her belongings out of the house by 5 p.m. that day. She sent Hilda on an errand first, though. She had to go to the bank and collect Martha's bank book, and then she needed a trunk dropped off that contained Martha's belongings, and she needed that sent to New Jersey. But that's not suspicious at all, eh? The entire idea was basically to have Hilda long gone before William returned from work, because Martha intended to kill him too. When William did return home, When William did return home, Martha rushed down the stairs with an axe. He tried to escape so he could warn Ida, because at that time, he didn't know Ida was already dead. When he reached the door, Martha struck him with the axe. She raised the axe to hit him again, but he probably blacked out because he said all he could remember was being in pain and being delirious. His cries, though, they alerted a neighbor named Norris Weldon and his wife. Now, Norris rushed out of his house to find the police officer that was closest to them, and he found Patrolman Harvey McCauley, who was actually on the same street walking his beat. William was critically injured, but he was still alive. The first thing that McCauley noticed when he came in was the strong smell of natural gas. And it seems that Martha was trying everything she could to kill William. Now, not only did she turn on the gas, but she turned it on in such a way that they couldn't shut it off. So McCauley, that police officer, he ran upstairs, and on his way to open the windows to keep the house from exploding, he tripped over a woman's body wrapped in a quilt, and there was a pillowcase covering the head. But that body was Martha's, and she was not dead. Ida's boyfriend had came to the scene. He was anxious to find out if Ida was okay. He identified himself to Captain Enos, and they told him that they had no news, but they led him to Ida's bedroom. Well, when they got there, the door was locked, and they had to break it down so they could get in. And what awaited them was truly horrifying. Ida's body was found beneath her own mattress. Martha had thrown phenol, which is an acid, all over her, and it left her face grotesquely disfigured. And even if she had lived, she would have been blind. But that wasn't enough, because Martha had also suffocated Ida with a pillow. Now, at this point, both Martha and William were at St. Mary's Hospital, where Martha was making a miraculous recovery. Surprise, surprise. Investigators could only question William for short periods of time because of, the condition he was in. But he gave them enough information that led them to post a 24-hour guard at his hospital room. Now, it is believed that the whole thing that set Martha off was William had told her he was not giving her any more allowance because she had ran up quite a few bills, and he was going to use the money he had been giving her as an allowance to pay off those bills. Now, he was still recovering when he learned of his daughter's death, and he was quoted as saying, "If she has killed Ida, nothing you can do to punish Martha will punish her enough." Martha was charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and attempted suicide, which was back then a crime when all that happened on February 7th, 1898. Martha's trial started in July of the same year, and it was quite a big media event for its time. And according to Martha's high-profile lawyers that she had hired, she just simply did not do that, what she was accused of doing. There was no way she could have, they said. Martha said, though, while she was on witness stand, that she had been provoked to attack William with the axe, and she had been provoked to throw the acid on Ida. Now, you can imagine that this ruined her lawyer's defense, of course. I mean, when she gets up there and kind of says the opposite of everything they had been defending her. But William and that housekeeper, Hilda, they both testified against her. And after the jury deliberated for less than 4 hours, they came back with a guilty verdict without the recommendation of murder, which meant they recommended the death penalty. On March 20th, 1899, Martha became the first woman to be executed in the electric chair. Now, that was less than a year from her trial and just over a year from when the murder was committed. Now, they didn't waste time back in those days, trying people and, putting them, if they're going to be executed. I mean, they were, pretty quick about getting all of that done. I know things have changed a lot these days, but anyway, I'm going to move on because I got a whole big opinion on that. Now, at 11:01 a.m. that day, the switch was thrown and 1,760 volts tore through her body. They sent a second jolt just to make sure she was dead before the doctor at Sing Sing pronounced her dead. She's buried in Millstone, New Jersey. Well, that's all I've got for this week's Midweek Mini, and I have to say it was a bit longer than a mini, but now you know who Martha Place is, or was.